How's it going, everybody? So we have finally made it. It is volume 1 of the final season of Stranger Things. Kind of insane, after all of these years, nearly a decade on Netflix, this entire saga is coming to a close. Not gonna lie, I am really bummed out about it. I've loved this show since the very beginning, collecting so many different things on my walls in the background. Luckily, the show is concluding in parts, so we get to dissect the first 4 episodes tonight. So at least initially, that wait does pay off, as these first 4 episodes of Stranger Things Season 5 do kick things off in a very exciting fashion. By the way, we are talking spoilers here, so just a fair warning ahead. With the time jump between seasons, they throw quite a lot at you at first, getting you up to speed. As always with Stranger Things, narratively, the show is continuously entertaining, and somehow they find new ways to keep the stakes growing with this ominous Vecna-shaped cloud looming over everyone, whether or not he'll appear again. They really were not kidding with this final season being a lot darker, also upping the budget. The extended runtimes do make some of these episodes feel more like movies, so most of the visuals do feel at a theatrical level. The Demogorgon action, this disgusting giant wall, and the upside down. Even just within these first 4 episodes of season 5, there are so many great moments to discuss. The convoy mission and the upside down had me on edge the entire time. When the Demogorgon decided to try and terrorize the Wheelers inside of their house, I felt like I was watching a slasher unfold. Shout out, by the way, to Karen Wheeler. I was not expecting her to have a 1v1 battle with the Demogorgon. Unfortunately, she did lose that battle, coupled with Lucas's conversations with Max in the hospital pleading for her to wake up. Back-to-back of those sequences really was just a big emotional gut punch. To address the elephant in the room, these kids definitely look way too old now to be portraying these high school kids. For the most part, I can look past it. There was only a handful of times where I did find it a bit distracting, mostly ironically when they are in the school. There's one scene early on where Mike and Lucas look like full-grown adults standing up for Dustin in the hallway from bullies. Ignoring the horrible haircut they gave Caleb McLaughlin for this final season, the kid has 5 o'clock shadow in the majority of the scenes he has in volume 1. Much like in previous seasons, the storyline I think was the strongest so far was the storyline revolving around Hopper and Eleven. Sure, they're stuck in the upside down trying to find Holly while evading the military. It hits some really nice emotional beats before we get into the action set within the upside down, because they decided to build a military base inside of the upside down, which is just crazy to me. I feel like finally Hopper is realizing his fear of losing Eleven after how he lost his daughter. It's what's holding him back, along with holding Eleven back from gaining her independence. The only downside is I feel like they took way too long to finally get their goal going as far as infiltrating the base. Could it be because I watched all 4 episodes back to back, but they are in the upside down for about 75% of the 4 episodes, and they only finally really get anything done in the last episode. Speaking of independence, one of the things that I quite liked about volume 1 so far is delving more into Will's connection to Vecna and the Hive Mind. Not only does it add eerie undertones through his past trauma, but he seems to have figured out his connections to the upside down and uses them to everyone's advantage trying to stop Vecna. With further developments that we get in episode 4, which I'm going to talk about in a little bit, I'm excited to see where Will goes as far as the future in volume 2 and 3. Considering Steve and Dustin are one of my favorite pairs of characters in all of Stranger Things, I was torn early on how much I was going to like them as characters in season 5, largely because they kind of missed out on most of the action for the first half of volume 1. Dustin especially, he has branched off of the group. I felt so bad for him though, because he is still mourning Eddie after all of this time, and he's being bullied and beaten up for it. Since we are now 5 seasons into Stranger Things, I really wish that we would kind of just move past the whole rivalry situation with Jonathan and Steve. Steve, more than Jonathan, I guess, is still trying to do things to one-up Jonathan in front of her, and I think we can just move past that. The real issue here, honestly, and it's one that we've seen in previous seasons of Stranger Things, there are just too many characters because they don't really ever kill anybody off that's of importance in this show. When the Demogorgon attacked Mrs. Wheeler, I figured she was going to be a death. Then she ends up surviving, so that was a moot point. Basically, Jonathan, Nancy, Erica, Murray, and the grand spectrum of the story, for the most part, they don't really add all of that much. You really could cut out the majority of their scenes, folding a few of them into setting a trap for the Demogorgon and chasing the Demogorgon around town, though, was a fun and clever idea. I almost would have included Robin in this list, but I do actually enjoy some of the sequences she has with Will, since over time she does help Will accept accept himself more, and along with that, his sexuality. In a similar vein to Will, Volume 1 of Season 5 does have a lot of big surprises and callbacks to previous seasons. Holly Wheeler having a much more extensive role in Season 5 is a surprise, and one that I'm mostly torn on. Since Season 1, she's always been a character that was maybe connected to the grand scheme of things. More so, however, she was a background character. I wish they incorporated her more in earlier seasons of Stranger Things, since now it feels so off having her be a major focus in Season 5. Whether that be learning that Henry the entire time was her imaginary friend, and most of all, she runs into Max. A lot of these different details, I think if they were stretched between Season 4 and this season, could have been a lot better utilized, but having them all crammed into Volume 1 to this point in the final season just comes across kind of rushed. Doesn't help either that this new kid they introduced to the cast, Derek, is incredibly obnoxious. I don't want to root for a kid to die or anything, but I hope we don't see a whole lot of him. Lynn Hamilton, though, I do think is a fantastic addition to the cast as Dr. K. She is super intimidating. Going back to the Max reveal, some of that stuff, it does come across a little bit convoluted if you think about it too hard, because we learn that she's in limbo this entire time, imprisoned inside of Henry's memories. She almost got out, but unfortunately this show is set in the 80s, so the cassette ran out. If only this was set in the 90s or the 2000s and a CD could have been playing and she would have been out by now. The climax, though, of episode 4 by far was one of the best parts of Volume 1. It was brutal as hell. Demogorgons tearing apart the military. Vecna's grand entrance was far more gory than I expected. To be fair, he was always pretty gory last season too, murdering people, but he straight up stabs his hand through a guy's face at one point. These big revelations heading into Volume 2, it's gonna be really exciting to discuss about in the comment section down below and just online in general. Firstly, 8 makes a reappearance inside of the Upside Down base. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of differing opinions about that because that episode of Season 2 almost unanimously is the one everybody hates, and we kind of just forgot about it for a while. We never addressed them ever again until this episode. More importantly, much like we kind of predicted for a while, it was theorized quite a bit considering Will's character in their D&D campaigns is the wizard. Will does have powers of his own and takes out the Demogorgons. That's going to be pretty exciting to see develop in Volume 2 and Volume 3, because I can only imagine with the combined power of him, 8 and 11. Basically, 3 different people putting their arm out in front of them and screaming to kill Vecna. That's probably going to be the series finale. Would you get a chance to watch Volume 1 of Stranger Things Season 5, though? Make sure you share your thoughts down below. What'd you think of the episode? Did you like the episode? Did you not like the episodes? Share any thoughts or theories you may have where we're going to go in Volume 2 on Christmas. Thank you guys, as always, checking out videos. I always do appreciate it. Make sure you leave a like on the video and also subscribe to the channel so you update reviews, reactions, unboxings, and more. Until next time, I'll see you guys later.